And good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment. Our guests on Community Comment today are with the Beaver Dam Police Department. We want to welcome into the conversation Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson and the police chief of the Beaver Dam, Wisconsin Police Department, one John Kreuziger. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
It's good to be here. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. Fantastic.
Good.
Fantastic.
Good. Chief, it's good to see you here too as well.
Yeah, same thing. It's good to be back.
And you can see us too, because we're actually rolling video today. If you go to the video tab, actually it's not the video tab at dailydodge.com. If you go to the new Daily Dodge, newly redesigned website, and go to Daily Dodge TV, you will be able to watch today's program live from the Daily Dodge television studios. Something has to be turned down. Sounds like my mic is a little too hot. I should walk up. Well, now you could see us on video walking all over the Daily Dodge
Live
television
TV,
studios.
live radio.
I'm one of these. Let's see, am I that one? Nope. I think I'm that one. How's that?
That looks better.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. It's a very special program that we've got. No, we are streaming in video and, of course, audio at dailydodge.com. We're also taking your phone numbers. No, we're taking your phone calls. You have to dial the phone number, and that phone number would be 920-885-4446. That's 920-885-4446. Operators are standing by, and feel free to call if you've got a question for Beaver Dam Police Chief John Kreuziger or Beaver Dam Police Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson.
That's correct.
I was just noticing the Police and Fire Commission agenda for next Tuesday's meeting.
Well, I was going to save that for last, but
Okay.
since you're bringing it up, it will soon be Lieutenant
Wow.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Well, congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. That's why I wasn't saying anything. Thank you.
I didn't know if you wanted to get that out of the way or if you
Well,
want to wait until the end.
You know, Jeremiah's been our guest here on Community Comment on the first Friday of the month. It's got to be going on 3 years
3
now,
years
right?
now. Yep,
3 years.
absolutely.
And we've told you about all of the previous representatives from the police department that have gone on to wonderful promotions in all forms of law enforcement and whatnot, not the least of which you were the first guest as
Yes, I
part
was.
of, not ever on Community Comment, but as part of the Beaver Dam Police Department and the regular first Friday of the month events. And now you're the chief.
Yeah, and one of the former one's the chief of Sun Prairie.
Sun
Mike
Prairie.
Stappas. Yes, Mike
He,
Stappas.
I think he went directly to Rhinelander as the chief
Yeah,
after
and
after
then
his
he went
stint
to
here.
Yep,
And he said he
now he's
wanted to be somewhere warmer.
Yeah, so now he's in Sun Prairie.
Sun Prairie. Yep. Way warmer down there.
So what city in Wisconsin do you want to be the chief of?
Not Rhinelander.
oh, okay.
Not Rhinelander. Nothing against Rhinelander. Just,
a little far away?
Yeah,
a little
family
chilly.
and friends a little closer to
Sure.
the Fox Valley, Milwaukee area, in between those two places.
Well, again, congratulations. Now,
Thank you very much.
It's not official till Tuesday.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
we got it.
right.
We
Yep.
got to wait till Tuesday because the
crossing
Police
my
and
fingers.
Fire Commission have to approve it. But Jeremiah Johnson went through a very lengthy process. We do a process, and he did very well in the process. So we're happy to have him on board. He's going to go from a sergeant to a lieutenant. He's going to take on additional responsibilities and hopefully shake some of those other responsibilities. But we still hope that he can continue to do this show and hopefully bring on the new sergeant into this show a little bit too. So.
yeah, wait a second. You're not going to leave the show, are you?
I would prefer not to.
No,
Okay, all right.
I'm okay with that, as long as he brings the new sergeant with him, because that's one of the things we like to do with the new sergeants, because then they can deal with the media and deal with taking
Deal with the
questions.
media.
Yeah, you guys are out of
Sometimes.
control.
Yeah. You
No,
know,
you're
so-
exactly right. It's and that's a responsibility in and of itself, because it's
Right.
not just me giving Sergeant Johnson a call. You know, if something happens in Beaver Dam, you're fielding calls from potentially all over the state, all over the country.
And if you're looking for something, you want the information now, and I believe in giving you guys something, giving the media something. You know, we don't want to jeopardize any case, but we want to give you as much as you can. You have a right to know, and, you know, if we get a new sergeant, we want to make sure that they understand how we have that relationship between the media and the police. So, yeah, as long as he brings in the new sergeant and works with him, and I'm okay with that. He can continue to do it.
Well, his era. Well, no, I guess Smeedema, Sergeant
Yep.
Smeedema. They were the only the lone wolves, I think, on this show. Everybody had a guest. You had Clavo and yourself,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And then after that, it was Clavo and Jake if I'm not mistaken, right?
Jake was the sergeant, yeah.
Who went on to illustrious things in the world of law enforcement after this because of the community comment program, no doubt.
Yep.
And onward and onward. But now so are you saying that you're going to pair him? We're going to have 2 officers back here again on the first Friday of the month? I don't know if we need to.
We'll put the new guy through field training here at community comment.
Yeah.
But I mean, they always, we talk about law enforcement and just like management in general is you always want to train your replacement. So if you move on, if something happens, if you take a new position, whatever that might be, good or bad, you've got the capability of knowing that the place that you work for is in a good spot, that people can step up in their role and make sure that they can handle it when the time comes. So I guess that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, and I like to keep Jeremiah Johnson on community comment if he don't mind doing it and continue to do it. But
yes, I
we
enjoy
also, like I say, we need to bring in the sergeant and have him get some experience and exposure. So it's good for him.
So the agenda, if I'm not mistaken, says that the PFC will consider a promotion to patrol lieutenant. Is that just a technical term for, is that one and the same as a lieutenant and a patrol lieutenant the same thing?
We have 2 different lieutenant positions. We have lieutenant of detectives, which is Lieutenant Gebhardt, and then we have patrol lieutenant. So he will be a patrol lieutenant on most likely second shift.
Okay. What does that mean for the responsibilities of the patrol lieutenant? Are you out in the field?
He still can be out in the field at times, but he takes on more of that supervisory paperwork end of it. He's going to be doing a lot more paperwork than he did before as a sergeant. Sergeant, you're more dealing with the patrol division more, and as you become a lieutenant, you start to deal with more of the internal paperwork stuff that goes on at the police department, such as timesheets and so forth.
Yeah, paperwork. Congratulations.
Yes, I know.
Lot
That's
more
what I
paperwork.
said. That's what I need more of in my job. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Yes, but no, it's a more of an administrative type of a job. It's making sure that the department objectives are actually moving through my shift and into the patrol officers' jobs and making sure that they're meeting standards and we're holding them accountable and we're responding to issues in the community that they're bringing back up the chain of command and making sure that the chief knows about any issues that are happening out there. And it's kind of like I said, it's an administrative role more than the sergeant position, which is like a supervisory role. So.
Well, what are the department objectives? Do you have a mission statement? Is that
it's funny you
something that?
mention that.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things the new deputy chief for his promotion. He was almost read the mission statement verbatim. So that is really important. The mission statement is something what we stand for, and most of us should know that mission statement. We have it posted by the employee interest. We have it posted by a couple entrances to the police department. So we do have a mission statement, and we follow. That's what we lead our department by and follow is the mission statement.
And you said it was the deputy chief that has it memorized.
Yeah, he's got it memorized. I got it pretty
I'm working
close,
on
but
that.
I'm not memorizing. He's going to learn as a lieutenant. He'll get to memorize the mission statement.
All right.
So at our department meeting, when I get one again, we're going to enforce that mission statement again. So
And that mission statement is?
you want me to read it verbatim?
I do.
It's basically about working together with the community and
Community
helping partnerships, community cooperation, and working together with the community. That's all envisioned in that mission statement. So.
Okay. I didn't ask you to bring the mission statement or anything, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but it's interesting that it has that it does sound like it's community focused.
Yes, definitely community focused, definitely working with the community and having the community work with us and we work with them. It's all community orientated, community policing. That's basically what it is, community policing.
So this means you'll be spending less time than perhaps in a patrol car as you're doing that paperwork.
That is
That is
correct.
what it seems, yes.
If he says
absolutely.
no, we'll change that real quick. No, he'll be more in the office, spending more time dealing with other issues and concerns, which it kind of focuses, like he said, when you're on a sergeant, you're more focusing with the issues on the calls, the things that go on at the calls, and helping the officers do those calls and helping the officers make decisions. When now you're more in the office dealing with the more of the administrative stuff. So.
Which one is more interesting, Sergeant?
It depends. I guess I'll find out how lieutenant goes, but I'll be honest with you. I always enjoyed going on the calls, but as a lieutenant, I think I'm going to be going on the bigger calls now. you know, and letting the patrol officers do what they need to do, and I'll step in when I need to, versus sergeant was kind of an ever-present, you know, force there, and, you know, lieutenant they step in when they need to and go to the big calls and the big emergencies and things like that, and that's when the supervisory stuff kicks in.
And it always doesn't hurt to get the lieutenants out there so they don't forget what patrol does and what they deal with every day and the things that they have to deal with. So I always encourage them to stop at these calls and be part of these calls with the officers. They don't have to directly do these calls or be involved in these calls, but at least they can kind of understand the calls and understand the officers yet, and still keep that working relationship, because sometimes as you get farther up the chain, you lose relationships, or you lose the time you spend with the patrol division. So I encourage them to do that when they're not busy doing other paperwork or on, like he said, more major calls. For sure, I expect a lieutenant to go to that call and help make those decisions and be there on those calls.
And a lot of it is training and development and empowerment, making sure that you have the right people in the right spots, making sure that our patrol officers are doing what they need to do, and that I give them the tools that they need to get the calls taken care of and get the job done. So, kind of being able to go and recognize that and then take whatever steps necessary to make sure they get those tools or the training that they need, or whether that be just something that we missed during the FTO process or something that the sergeant can handle and, you know, go down the chain of command, whatever that might be. It's just kind of recognizing that and making sure that the people on my shift and the rest of the department, for that matter, have got what they need to be successful as law enforcement officers, better protecting and serving the community.
Yeah, I always have a saying as a leader, we as leaders don't know everything, can't know everything, can't be there for everything. All we have to do is put people into those places that can do those things and make us look good. And that's what I look for when we look for leaders. We look for those that want to step into those roles and take on those responsibilities. And I think Jeremiah's ready and he's willing to take on those responsibilities. He's proved himself as a sergeant that he's been able to do it. I kind of look at it as a stepping stone. We take our sergeants and they get molded by our lieutenants. Now he's going to be molded the next sergeant, and he's going to be working with the next sergeant. So to carry on that mission statement and carry on some of the philosophies and ideas that I believe in, we got a good partnership. He'll do just fine.
How long have you been on the department now?
Oh, gosh, since February of 2015, so going on, 7.
Very good.
Yep,
How long have you been in law enforcement?
7 years.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So
prior to going into law enforcement, I worked at Shopco as a loss prevention individual, I guess. Had many different job titles in there, but always in loss prevention. And
how did that work out for Shopco?
Well, you know what? I actually left. I would just like to
Sorry
say I'm not
brought that
responsible for Shopco. I left at 2015.
So things were still going good.
Well, there were some issues, I'm sure, but I'm glad I did. Let's put it that way. But it was always with loss prevention. You're dealing with law enforcement almost day for day, catching shoplifters and making sure that the security of the store, et cetera, et cetera. So I had that kind of that law enforcement knack, if you will, going into it. That's actually what introduced me into law enforcement and saying, hey, this is what I want to do. So
I think that
then I put myself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things I thought that really helped Jeremiah was you didn't have them arrest powers, so you learned how to talk, and you learned how to deal with people, and you learned how to talk to people, and that is become one of Jeremiah Johnson's strengths, is able to communicate and talk to people and have those conversations and work out issues and resolve issues. So that has really helped him in his career.
Yeah, as evidenced by being here on Community Comment,
Yeah.
and the interaction you've done with our community, and we do appreciate that. And we do look forward to continued opportunities. And if they do change, Chief, we know that you've always been great about putting the perfect person in here for this job time and time again.
Yep.
Well, regardless, I won't be a stranger. That's for sure.
Right.
So.
Good to know. Good to know. So here's a dumb question. What is the primary directive of patrol? Is the primary directive to pull people over and let them know, either with a warning verbally or a ticket, that their use of a motor vehicle isn't up to snuff? Is that just a component of it?
If there was another D that said all the above, I would check all the above.
Right,
so
right.
It's one of those
You gotta
that
go.
it's
It's all
there's a lot
encompassing.
to it.
Number one thing I know when I'm out on patrol is a safety issue. That's the number one thing. That's the one thing we can't look away from. That's the number one thing that we're there for. I mean, a lot of the traffic laws that are out there are for safety-minded purposes. You know, you take a look at, am I going to pull over the person with, you know, the burnt-out headlight, or am I going to pull over the person who's driving recklessly and crossing the center line? Well, definitely, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
Am I going to go to the person who's having a heart attack, or am I going to go to the barking dog? You know, and sometimes a barking dog could just simply be if the dog was left out. Other times the barking dog could be somebody's breaking into the neighbor's house, and the dog sees this and hears it. And so, I mean, it's a judgment call, but I think the safety piece of it is probably the number one directive of patrol, and then peace and what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of a civil tranquility, if you will. Making sure that there's not, you know, disorder in the streets and things like that. And after that is the law enforcement aspect, I would say, probably in that order of, you know, well, hey, this law is being broken. All right, well, you need to fix it, and we'll hold you accountable if you don't, you know, things like that. So kind of safety, and then, you know, security and kind of peaceful tranquility. And then, I guess,
we
peace,
teach,
you know, the common peace.
Keeping the
if you will.
peace.
Yes.
Yeah, we teach our
There we
officers
go.
that all the time.
Yes.
You know, safety is number one, and if you can't be safe and you can't get there safe, you can't help anybody. You
That's true.
have to be safe. And I always look at it as a leader. We have to look at how do I keep our officers safe on all these calls they go on in safe situations, and make sure they have the tools and the equipment to do the job, because they have to be safe.
Is it safe to say that the patrol division is really everything that is an investigative?
Absolutely, and then some. I mean, we in our community handle all calls and all types of calls, every situation. Some communities prioritize certain calls or don't handle certain types of calls. We handle them all. A lot of these calls are civil issues. A lot of calls are disputes. We go there and try to resolve these issues before they escalate to something else. So you don't know what you're going to do from day to day, and every shift and every hour is different, and different types of calls, different types of situations, and when somebody don't know what to do, their usually answer is call the police and have the police try and resolve it. And lots of these calls, we can't get involved, or there are civil issues, but we try to give people the answers, or try to figure out or talk them through what they can do and what are their options, and learn to talk to people, and that's what it's about too.
Absolutely, yeah, and the more investigative side of things, you know, that does go into the detective realm, but we, as patrol, are the first line of determining what happens next. We are the first people, if we come across evidence, that we can secure it, identify it, and know what it is, and if we need to document it, you know, is something as simple as taking photographs, or, you know, something as simple as an OWI blood draw, or, you know, there's a piece of clothing left behind by the suspect, or video from the incident, whatever it might be. Something as simple as just walking around the neighborhood and being like, hey, that house has got a Ring camera. I wonder if we can knock on the door and see if the owners are home, see if they can look up their camera and see if they saw anything just 15 minutes ago, you know, when this happened. So, I mean, we do have that investigative mindset. And, you know, obviously when we respond to a scene, we want to make sure it's safe and secure, and we have everything where we need it to be. But then we do start looking into that investigative stuff. And then if it's complicated, if it's something that is out of the realm and would start affecting our other patrol duties, that's when we get the detectives involved.
Yeah, when the people call the police, it's a matter that's important to them. And it may not be in our job description, it may not be something we don't know how to do, but it is important to them. So we want to show them that we care, and we understand that it's important, and we try to help them through their situation and give them advice and talk to them. That's what we're there for. Mm-hmm. So we hope that in return helps us. When we have a crime, we appreciate people helping us, giving us information, giving us leads, sending us tips, which this community has always done to us, and we've done very well with the community's help. And we can't do it without the community's help. We have to work together. So we're there to help them with their needs or their issues or concerns, and vice versa. We ask for their help. Every time we've asked, I mean, I won't forget Rotary Park, where we had all the lights being damaged. We just asked for the community's help, and oh my gosh, I mean, the community was there for us and gave us a lot of tips, so we had to follow up on a lot of tips, but in the end, we ended up finding out who did it, and we ended up making some arrests, and we couldn't have done it. Sometimes we just can't do it without the community. There has to be that partnership between the police and the community, and we need to work together and help each other. And if we can't get through helping each other, it's not going to work. It's not going to be a good partnership. That's why our mission statement talks about that partnership and that relationship between the police and the community, and how important that is to me to have that relationship. It's no different than the relationship we have with you guys here. We have an excellent relationship with you guys, and we work very well with you guys. You guys are good to us, we're good to you, but we understand each other, what we have to do, and what our jobs are, and what you're looking for, what we need to do too. So.
Yeah, kind of on the note of community partnership, we need them as much as they need us, I guess. I don't know, do they need us? But we need them, that's for sure. I will say this, it's great to have calls where people see suspicious activity and they call it in, you know, and not a reactive sort of thing, but like, hey, this is happening right now, come down here, help us, come check it out, versus, you know, about an hour ago, we saw something weird. Well, can't do a whole lot about it now, but yeah, pick up the phone, call us. And it's great if you think about it, if we're all working together to stop the problems in our community, the crime, the issues, whatever that might be. It's great to have, you know, 16,000 people in the city of Beaver Dam helping us out and being partners with them.
And we have huge support from the community here in Beaver Dam. We have an excellent relationship with the community, we feel, and we pride ourselves on that. And that's what we work for, and that's what I look for in supervisors, to pass on that and to make sure that that continues as my legacy as the chief, that we're working with the community, we're working together, we're dealing with the problems and the issues in the community.
920-885-4446 is the phone number to call if you've got a question or a comment for Beaver Dam Police Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson. Next time he's here, that may be different. And Beaver Dam Police Chief John Kreuziger here on WBEV's Community Comment, AM 1430 WBEV. Beaver Dam Juneau, a Good Karma Brands radio station. We're going to go to the phones here. We will note to our caller that we may take the question here right before the break, but we may have those answers for you possibly after the break as we're getting close to the 1 o'clock hour here. So with that, we'll say good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Well, you just burned up enough time so they couldn't answer the question, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, first of all, congratulations, President Johnson. I do appreciate that you've earned the promotion, so that's great. So I've got 3 questions, so I'll hang up and wait for after the break to hear your answers. Now, with the promotion, does that mean someone either retired or quit, and like there's going to be an upward promotion, and you're going to be bringing on a new employee on patrol? That'll be question number 1. Question number 2, recently out here in my, wildlife area of Hubbard, I had to call the sheriff's department to dispose of a rabid animal, a raccoon that was, kind of wandering around in the middle of the day, bitten up and, kind of wandering the roads. Do you guys handle your animal control? And if someone does see an animal that's questionable, do they need to call you, or is there a different department that they need to call? And kind of along those lines, if someone sees a violation, a hunting, fishing violation in your area, I know the DNR is pretty thin. Is that something you guys can step into? And can you actually write violations for those types of things? Or is that something you have to have the DNR in? I'll hang up, wait for after the break to hear your answers, guys. Hey, thanks for what you do. Be safe out there.
Thank you, and thanks for calling.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
Craig
We'll
from
get to
Hubbard.
Yep, yep,
Wow.
as always.
Craig from Hubbard.
Soon to be on the. We're gonna have to get him on the payroll. I think that's just. That's
We should
just all
actually
there is
have
to
him
it.
join us. We got a spot over here.
We do. We've got the extra. There's chairs here in
That's
the
real
Daily Dodge
community
Television
comment right there.
studios. We've got Aaron Rodgers'
them.
couch over here.
That is Aaron Rodgers'
That's
couch,
Aaron
huh?
Rodgers. That is not a lie. This is a couch that that Aaron Rodgers sat on during the Wisconsin Sports Awards. So he didn't have ownership of it. Well, he may have had ownership of it that
I
day.
wish I had that power.
Yes.
If anything that I touched suddenly became mine.
Right.
Look at Lamborghini.
Jeremiah Johnson, use this microphone. Call it the Jeremiah Johnson microphone. I do believe we have to take a break, though, if I'm not mistaken. John Kraft can tell me otherwise. We'll go ahead and take that break. And when we come back, we'll find out the answers to the questions that were just asked here on Community. Oh, by the way, before we take that break, reminder, we're on video, so you can go to the video tab at dailydodge.com. It's actually not the video tab anymore. It actually says Daily Dodge TV. So feel free to check it out and watch the stream. You can watch it live now or check back later. Back here in a few minutes.
My heart.
Craig Warmbold joined by Ryan Gable here live on the video stream at dailydodge.com TV.
See how fast we get rid of him?
Yeah, there he goes.
Turns around
it's
and
live.
oh my, is it
Right.
really on or not?
And that is my cue.
He's the media. Everything's running live. Nothing's off the record.
That is Beaver Dam Police Chief John Kreuziger and Beaver Dam Police Sergeant, soon to be a lieutenant, Jeremiah Johnson. Though I imagine if the vote is Friday by the PFC, our listeners have until till Friday at 5 o'clock to voice their concerns to their alderpersons.
Hey.
If they have an issue with this in any way, certainly you want to reach out and,
Thank you.
and
Thank
let your
Thanks,
opinions
Craig.
be known.
Yeah.
Well, they're not elected officials; they're appointed.
This is true. That's true.
So-
But I did work third shift, so I mean, not everyone is happy to see me at 3 in the morning. So I always try to be cordial, ladies and gentlemen, and you know.
So does that mean you're not waking up and coming to the community
This
comment
is
program
correct. This is
after
correct.
this
You
promotion?
will see me on a full night's sleep from here on out, theoretically.
Theoretically.
Yes.
Oh
Theoretically.
boy, watch out.
Yeah,
Be
knocking
some
on
long community
wood.
comments now.
And now,
Right,
is
exactly.
is that because, and I forget who said they were going to field the first question from Craig from Hubbard, is that because somebody retired that you're replacing? What went into this promotion?
Well, it got started when Deputy Chief Scott Barr retired, And I believe in promoting from within because you kind of understand who you're getting and, their style, and you can mold them to that. We're talking about that partnership in the community and that vision statement that's created. You kind of can continue that. So what happened was Lieutenant Brandon Stommel was promoted to deputy chief. He is now the deputy chief. So that leaves an opening as a lieutenant position, and then the most senior lieutenant can decide which shift he would like to be on or move up. So Lieutenant Reel went from seconds to first, and Lieutenant Schmiedema, who's on nights, wanted to stay on nights. So there came a lieutenant opening on second shift. And then what we usually do is, like I say, the sergeants usually put in for that position. They already have the supervisory experience, and they are usually trained and molded by the lieutenant. So Jeremiah is now going to be the next lieutenant for that opening that was created through the ranks. And then that means we're going to be looking to hire patrolmen. So we been taking applications, and right now that's we are going to start interviewing next week, and we'll go from there. And then we have a sergeant, which now then creates a sergeant position because somebody's got to take Jeremiah's spot. So we got that process going on right now too. So we have the process to fill Jeremiah's position, and we have the process to fill the patrol position. So it's basically everybody just moves up.
On that note, just real quick, if you know someone out in the community who's interested in law enforcement, please encourage them to apply. Obviously, there's some requirements. You need 60 college credits, but you don't necessarily need the police academy. It certainly helps. It's a great step forward, but if you know someone who's thinking about getting into the career, encourage them to apply. We are looking for good quality applicants, and we are definitely in the hunt for recruitment. So please encourage your family members, friends, anyone you might know to have them fill out an application with us, because we're looking for a few good officers.
What is the job market looking like out there from a manager's position, Chief? I know people are having trouble, public sector, private sector, whatever it may be. How is that impacting your roster in terms of hiring those qualified individuals?
Well, we've been doing okay. I mean, we've had to go out and do a little bit more recruiting. We're going to start up a recruiting team here shortly to try and recruit people. It's been difficult to recruit. It's been difficult to find them, but we've had to go through several processes. I know the Police and Fire Commission have gotten kind of frustrated because we keep going, but every time we seem to find that person, we always seem to keep looking and keep searching, and I'm not going to lower any of my standards for that. And I get asked, what are we looking for? And I always say three things: character, character, character. That's what I look for. I'll send somebody to the academy. We just sent a guy to academy not too long ago. He's doing very well for us. So it doesn't come down to your education, your training experience. I just want somebody that's dedicated to Beaver Dam, that really wants to be into law enforcement, has the right mindset, is good with people, and if we could find that individual, we're willing to make. What I've done is a lot of things have changed for us. We now have lateral transfer, so we've been able to pick up some from some other agencies. Along with that lateral, we've been able to carry over some additional vacation with that lateral transfer, so we've been able to do that. So with that, a pay scale, being able to do that has helped us a little bit. We've done a lot more recruiting than we have in the past and had to go out and recruit a lot more. And a lot of the recruiting comes right from within your own department. And that's what we really have to look for.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by lateral transfer? Does that mean?
Okay. If somebody is in a police department and they are a patrol officer and they've been with the department for, say, 10 years, they can come to our department at our pay scale, not at the beginning pay scale. So they would start at our highest pay scale, which is 4 years, and then I can work with them to give them additional vacation as to what they have at their current position. So it makes it a little more attractive to come to our department, especially from some of the smaller agencies. It makes our department a little more attractive to be able to do that.
Certainly in the time that I've been here and worked with the men and women of the Beaver Dam Police Department, I could see the character need in place. there does seem to be generally around the country kind of an increased focus on temperament and character, really kind of under that. Have you found yourself, as you're looking through applicants, increasing the bar, if you will, raising the bar on that type of person with character here? And if so, how do you balance that with the challenges that people are facing with
Absolutely. I've implemented several new assessments, and actually Jeremiah Johnson went through one of those assessments with character, and it really, I brought that in a lot more to try to look for that person, because I think that's really what it comes down to, because I have a lot of good officers. I have a lot of good trainers that can train people and are good at training people. But if I don't have that right person with that right character, and it's struggle. You're born and you have those certain characters that make you really good and good at what you do. If Jeremiah doesn't, for example, Jeremiah may not know how to do payroll. He may not know how to do some other things, but I can teach him that. I can get trainers to train him and teach him that. But if he doesn't have those skills that I look for, and one of the skills that he was very, very good at is communication skills. So if that's what we're looking for, is those type of people that really have the heart in doing the job and have the heart of caring about people. I always say, what's it about? It's all about people. I don't care if you're doing with the internal personnel or you're dealing with the public. It all has to do with people. Leadership is about the people that you deal with, and if you get those people with those good characters, we found this last guy. He just had another character. Reminds me very much of Sergeant Johnson here, and he has excellent communication, very good people, wants to do the right thing, has the right attention, cares a lot about the community and what goes on. And then we're the kind of people we'll get them through with all the different trainers. We have different instructors, and we can work them through that.
And everybody learns differently too, and having different instructors teaching in multiple methods, gets across to people. And not everybody's a visual learner. They got to go out and they got to do, and other people learn by teaching. You can learn how to do something, but then if you don't actually use it, you forget it. So if you get to the point where you can actually teach someone else and how to do it, then you've mastered that skill. So and it doesn't end at field training either. It continues on. Yes, we have state mandated, set amount of hours that we have to go to training every year, but we do more above and beyond at the Beaver Dam Police Department in multiple areas of law enforcement to ensure that our officers are up to date, that they're, constantly learning and addressing issues that might have come up, things like that. So,
and if they have some experience in education, that's a bonus for them. So I look at it that way. You got to look at the totality. We have a totality of things that we grade people on, and we add up all those scores and we see where they end up. And then I do my interview, and then we go through all the background. It takes a long time to get through our process.
I imagine it's a lot easier to teach payroll than it is to try to teach someone character.
Yeah, you
Probably
don't
goes
teach
without
it.
saying.
I always say you either have it or you don't. So it's you don't teach it.
920-885-4446 is that phone number if you've got a question or a comment. And we've got a couple questions here from Craig from Hubbard, and we appreciate Craig calling in. And
the DNR.
The DNR questions.
Yes.
And these are fascinating questions because we all know, it's a DNR thing. Well, the DNR handles that.
Right. So, okay. So within the jurisdiction of the city of Beaver Dam, domesticated animals we handle. So if there's ever like a dog running about or a dog that might have rabies, sick, whatever that is, that's something that we handle. We do the animal control.
Really?
Yes.
You bring them, I think we contract with the Humane Society.
Correct.
So you bring them there.
We happen to capture a domesticated animal that needs to go home, or we can't figure out where they go, whatever it might be. We can call up the Humane Society 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get the animal in either the pound or figure out where they're going. A lot of animals are chipped, things like that.
Makes it easier, sure.
Right. Or, let's say the animal got out, somebody's at work, we're knocking on the door, we can't get the animal inside the house, we're not sure if the animal belongs there. the Humane Society can come help us out. But yeah, we're like that first line.
Yeah, you
of
don't want to make
defense.
that mistake, I'm guessing,
You know
putting
what?
the animal in the wrong
Funny
house.
Story. Funny story. That is exactly the point. Yes. Scott Barr, who just retired.
Oh, good, he's retired. We can tell the
Hey,
story
oh,
now.
Well, no, it's a good one. It's a cautionary tale. He recalled a time where he found a dog in someone's yard, and the dog clearly wanted to go inside the house. And you know what? It's a lost dog, didn't have any tags on it. So he opened up the door, let the dog inside, and we got a call about 45 minutes later. Hey, there's a dog in my house, and it destroyed my couch. And yeah, so as a cautionary tale, yeah, you have to be sure it's the house that it belongs to.
That
So
helps.
yes. So now we have the Humane Society, so we can call them up, and we don't have to worry about that happening again.
But you see a mean, angry dog, and I'm not going to be
Yeah.
breed specific or anything, because
It
for
can
whatever
happen.
reason, that's something you have to do as a member
Yes.
of the Beaver Dam Police Department.
Yep.
Do you have, I know you equipped your guys and the men and women of the Beaver Dam Police Department with all the technology and all of the
Mm-hmm.
apparatus that they need. Do you have apparatus to deal with
do.
a mean dog?
Yeah. So every squad car has got is it 6 foot long? But it has the animal, like essentially the pole. And if you can secure the animal using the leash on the end of the pole, and you can control them and get them in the backseat of the squad car, get them down to the Humane Society, get them back home, whatever you need to do. Obviously, that's very rare. A lot of the times the dog just keeps running and running and running. So if the dog's not being dangerous with anyone, we have to, ask the question, how long are we going to chase the dog? Sometimes the dog just wants to go out and eventually comes back home. But, there's certain resources and stuff that, you can't be chasing the dog for an entire shift, But if a dog is dangerous and has bitten someone, whatever that might be, heaven forbid, but if that does happen, yeah, then we're gonna track that dog down. We have to, and make sure that, it doesn't have rabies. Someone got bit, we have to make sure that they're okay, things like that. So, yeah, we are animal control. We enforce the quarantine laws. If an animal, a cat, a dog, any domesticated animal bites an individual, we make sure that the owners understand the quarantine laws. They go in for a rabies examination. They have to go in 3 times in a 10-day period to make sure that the animal doesn't develop rabies or does not have rabies, essentially to make sure that they're not spreading that disease. It's a terrible disease. If we can't find the animal that bit them, they have to go through a prophylactic antibiotic treatment, to help stop the development of rabies before it even sets foot, and it's just bad. So, we do the animal control. Things like the DNR nature, so
Yeah,
non-domesticated animals. So, obviously, if a deer gets struck in the city of Beaver Dam and the deer cannot care for itself anymore, we do dispatch that animal. We take care of those things in the city limits. Things like just the other day, there was a beaver that was foaming at the mouth. It appeared to be lethargic and possibly sick, so we dispatched that animal and disposed of it properly. If you get into hunting and poaching law, we can always stop, hold, and advise the DNR for enforcement options. So if we see people that are fishing without a license, that is something we can enforce. If we see people snagging fish, that might be something where we stop it from happening. We report our findings to the DNR, and then a DNR warden will come to Beaver Dam and help us assist us in that investigation. So every little situation's a little different, but in general, we can do the basic things, and we can certainly respond to a questionable thing that's going on. We'll stop it from happening and then advise the DNR and then take action from that. The DNR has very special rules that allows them, they're actually a lot more able to do things that we as police officers can't, as far as inspection of land and hunting requirements and things like that, where we don't necessarily, we can't go into hop a fence and go into somebody's backyard without a good reason. But a DNR warden, if they think there's something going on with an animal in the back, can, as an example. So it's a little different, but
Yeah, and then when you have the calls where you need additional follow-up, such as the number of cats, say for the cleanliness or the security and safety of the inside of a residence. We have a humane officer, which goes through the Department of Agriculture. They go get the training down in Madison. Right now, that's Detective Heather Johnson. So she doesn't get involved in initial calls, but she does do, say someone's got 15 cats and it needs to be clean and you need to do something with those cats after the Humane Society gets them. She would do that follow-up, and she would check some of the laws and help the officers with that case. So she's able to do extra things above and beyond what the officers can do because she's trained in that area. So we do have that humane officer.
A lot of that training too with humane officer, very not applicable for the city of Beaver Dam, but they get training in horses and cows and cattle, things like that. They can go out to farms and inspect animals and things like that too. We don't have any farms in the city, but she's
Well, we do have
well-versed
we
in,
have everything from cats and dogs and bees and other ordinances. We do have those things that officers don't always know all the laws or know everything about it, and she has the right connections to the right people, and she knows some of those laws, and she's a certified state of Wisconsin humane officer, so that helps us when you have someone that's a certified officer.
And there has been exotic animals
Kangaroos,
in
yes.
Beaver Dam. Kangaroos
Yes.
comes right
Oh,
to
yeah.
the top of mine. You
Yeah,
Google Beaver
that's a
Dam, and that's
story,
not too far away.
Yeah.
one of the
this
top
would-
stories of my career is boxing with a kangaroo. That was fantastic.
Oh, that was you that responded. Is that right?
That was an after the fact. I got to beat the kangaroo, and he wanted to box, and I got to take a couple hits from a kangaroo. It was great.
He got a couple jabs in.
Yeah, didn't hurt. I was good. I was
Okay.
good. It was a friendly, playful, witty banter. Yeah, I was worried at some point that it could.
And then what happens? Is this turned over to the DNR for investigation?
You know what?
Does-
We handled it in house. We did not have to involve the DNR.
Okay.
We did an abatement order and say, hey, the kangaroos need to be in a location outside of the city.
And that's another thing that she has the expertise in, is the abatement orders, to order people to do certain things when they don't do it by
Right.
us. I mean, we can't make someone to do some things. Certain animals, certain dog bites, we can order them out of the city, or, things like that we can do with abatement orders. We can order them to wear a muzzle, them types of things. And that's what the humane officer is for.
Did you ever think when you started your career in law enforcement that you'd be talking about muzzling a kangaroo?
Not even close.
Wow.
Never crossed my
That's-
mind. Yeah.
yeah.
It was surreal seeing a kangaroo up close like that. It was.
Well, another thing was we get these people that have therapy animals, service animals, all
Right.
them definitions, and what is a service animal, what's a therapy animal, what can this animal do versus this animal, and then we just dealt with this not too long about somebody bringing an animal into a bar, and whether it's this type of animal, whether you have all these regulations with food, and whether they serve food, and whether they can be there, and all those things. Those are all kind of can be complicated, so that's why we have a humane officer to be able to get those answers or answer them for us.
Was it a dog or a cat?
No, it wasn't a dog or a cat. It was a different type of animal. But
Can we be more specific as to what kind of
The
animal?
suspense is killing me too, Chief. I have to know.
I can't remember if it was some small animal that I don't. It was brought in, and it was
Okay.
really shouldn't like. I can't remember what they were
Like-
talking
like
about.
a
It was only
hamster or a-
yeah, something like
like a
that.
hedgehog?
Something-
Yeah.
It was like an animal that I
Chinchilla.
Chinchilla?
Nah.
Something along those
But
lines.
they
All
were
right.
bringing it into the bar, and she had called to ask what she could do with it. I think I'd turn it over to Heather to see if that type of animal could eat. What. And there was a lot of questions about it. But
And just to clarify before we take this phone call, dogs are considered a service animal. I believe ponies, horses
yeah,
are considered a
miniature,
service
yeah.
and miniature
It is
horses.
as
Yeah,
far as the state statute is
As far as the state
concerned.
statute
Correct.
is concerned.
They can be. Not you can't just grab a pony and say, hey, it's my service animal. I'm going to go to Walmart and my pony's going to come in with me. There's more to it, but those are the two that are designated as eligible to be a service animal in the state of Wisconsin.
yeah, and you have to be really careful with that because you can't ask a lot of questions. And that was the intent of the bar when they had called, is they wanted to ask all these questions. And according to statute, you can't ask a lot of additional questions. And you can only ask about 2 or 3 questions about that therapy or service animal.
Okay.
So you have to be careful.
Got very particular over the last couple of years.
What are those questions? Do you know off the top of your head what those
off the top of
questions
my
are?
head.
Like,
No.
like what is that service animal being used for was one of them, and there's
Okay.
just some real basic questions.
I do remember there being a time where I thought we had been reporting years ago that well, the public can't ask about a service animal. Maybe that's what it is. A business owner, would they be restricted in, as far
Yes.
as you know? A
Right.
business owner can't, but a police officer can.
Well, as a police officer, I don't know if the statute separates that. I guess I wouldn't go there. I don't think you can. Even a police officer, I don't know. I'm not aware of that.
This is one of those, I've talked about this before in community comment,
Yeah,
where
okay.
it doesn't come up as often as you think it would. So it's one of those situations where when the call comes up, we do that quick 5-minute research before we respond to the call. This is,
It's sort of like the concealed carry. A police officer can only ask a couple questions. They can't go into all those detailed questions. I'm almost positive this is the same thing. It has to do with the American Disabilities Act, where you can't ask any of those additional questions.
Well,
So there's only 2 questions that you can basically ask.
Well, you never thought you'd be talking about muzzling a kangaroo on today's program
you know
either.
what,
I
I'm ready for
imagine, so.
anything on this program, I tell you.
920-885-4446 is that phone number. We'll go to the phones and say, good afternoon, welcome to Community Comment. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, that's okay. I'm used to following Craig up, and
The other Craig.
since Craig, the other Craig from Hubbard.
Right.
And I'm sure by now you know who this is.
Yes,
And
Rich from Beaver
Jeremiah-
Dam, you're on
yeah,
line one.
Yeah, Jeremiah probably knows too. And since you started this conversation on animals, I got to throw something in there before my question. Is if they're going to let animals in places, they better have something along to clean up after them too.
Oh, yeah.
That should be in the law. I would
Absolutely.
concur with that, Rich.
Yeah, we do have local ordinances
Yes.
that cover that. So that was one of the discussions I had with the bar owner, was that discussion.
And also, this is going back to, I would say, late 90s, early 2000s, because I used to work for the band Road Trip, the band Vic Ferrari, and I'd be in a lot of establishments and selling merchandise. And one night at a bar in Oshkosh, this guy comes walking along. I'm like, what? He's got a big boa constrictor wrapped around his neck inside the bar.
Well,
The 80s,
And
man.
I'm like, that's real. He's like, yeah. And he was holding, right under the head where you're supposed to hold it. He says, if you want to pet it, you can pet it. And it's like, I tried putting my hand around it, and my hand barely fit around it. That's how thick it was. But he was walking around in the bar, and people were coming up and touching it. And he said it was really friendly.
and that would be allowed in Beaver Dam or would not be allowed in Beaver
I'm
Dam?
going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no.
right.
Is that-
Yep.
Is that a no?
That's a
I
no.
want to say it's a no. Yep. 100%
Okay.
no.
Now, could that have changed, though, from back when I was saying late 90s, early 2000s?
Well, it could have been the city's ordinance. I don't know what their ordinances
Yeah,
are, but
maybe
we
theirs
don't allow
isn't as
them.
strict, correct.
So yeah, in our beautiful United States of America, it is not illegal until there is a law written to say that it is therefore
Aha.
illegal.
What about
So-
what
Okay.
about outdoors at an event?
I don't know. Excellent question. I think the boa constrictor has to wear the little vest that says service animal on it before it can be. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I want to say in the city of Beaver Dam, no. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't.
it says
That's-
city limits, so
Yeah.
the city limits would be anywhere
Indoor
in the city,
or
indoor
outdoor.
or outdoor,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Because that's what the ordinance says. So
Okay, well, my question, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but it was brought to my attention by a couple dog walkers that go by my house, and they said something about, I'm trying to do this without throwing anyone under the bus, but somebody lets their dog out in their front yard and does their duty. They don't pick up. It sits there. One time I know I walked by and had to kick it onto their yard so it wasn't on the sidewalk. I mean, I rarely see it on the sidewalk, but I can see it on the yard. What's the ruling on that?
So is it their own yard, sir?
It's their own yard, but it's
Okay.
in the front yard where everybody
So-
sees it. I mean, if they would let their dog out in the backyard, there wouldn't be an issue.
Right. So it falls under the beautification and the kind of public nuisance sorts of things.
Yeah, guess
So,
if our mayor saw
Yep.
that. You used
So
the
it
word
comes-
beautification.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of comes down to code enforcement at that point. So, yeah, on the sidewalk is definitely a problem. And excessive amounts where it is becoming a public nuisance would be an issue. Yeah.
In the
yeah.
front yard,
Now,
on your
In-
whole
in-
property.
hold
Yeah,
on now.
and now there's reasonable,
between the
you know.
sidewalk and the curb, though, that's city property, and it goes by the trees also between the sidewalk and the curb.
yeah,
So
sure.
then
There
it
cannot
really could be
there
called in,
cannot be any
correct?
feces in that area.
Yeah.
Everyone has to pick up their
Gotta pick
feces
it up.
afterwards. He's only talking about a private yard on a private property. And you're right, they call the tree border, that is the city's, and you cannot leave your feces there. You must pick them
Right.
up and you can be issued citation. And we have talked to people and confronted them about picking up their feces. So yes,
That can be called in.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
That is pretty much all I wanted to know today. I'm going to let you guys off easy.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate the
you.
call, Rich.
And Jeremiah, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Now, it's second shift when I might run into you now?
Second shift starting right now.
Okay, sounds good. Congrats.
We'll see. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thanks, Rich. Boy, I have just got the best sound bites from today's program. That's all I've got to say.
Why do you think he does this?
Now, I was going to correct you, Chief. You said you have to pick up your feces, and I'm like, no, you have to pick up your dog's feces.
Well,
actually, you have to clean up
And
both.
there we
I'm just
go.
saying, you gotta just
There-
both. Yeah.
there's another
There's
soundbite
a soundbite
worth,
right
mentioning
there.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know how we transition to something serious from this,
Well,
but I'm going to give it a
that's-
shot.
We could talk about CPA if you want, or too soon, or
You know, I don't want to forget about this one thing that I've been forgetting about.
you got it.
But yeah, we do want to talk about the Citizens Police Academy, of which Ninja has been the reporter that's been embedded in the Citizens Police Academy. We'll have a little bit more coming up on that in just a minute.
We're
but
gonna
first,
get him a helmet.
we're gonna get him a helmet. That's good, and a vest maybe, so we can put
media.
his right, you know, all the things that you need to put in the vest for batteries and whatnot. There has been, if I'm not mistaken, and I've been meaning to go to my mailbox at the city of Beaver Dam. If I'm not mistaken, has there been some demerits suggested for some local bars?
They are businesses. There's no taverns. There are businesses that sell alcohol, that have alcohol license. Sergeant Johnson was probably part of that. He could probably give us a brief summary here of
Sure. Yeah.
what's had occurred.
So on a regular basis, we do alcohol compliance checks, which basically we find a very underage person. Certainly people, so the people that we used were 17, 16, and 19. And they present as people that are underage. You know, they don't have beards. They don't look like they're in their mid-30s, if you will. They are supposed to be clearly a high schooler, underage, or, you know, something to the effect of where you're not fooling anyone. We escort them to a liquor license holding establishment, and we have them go in and select a single item of alcohol or more, and they attempt to purchase the item. And we ensure that they're following all the laws. We make sure that they're checking their ID, verifying the age, and that they are indeed under the age of 21, and they should refuse that sale. So we have had a couple of businesses in the city of Beaver Dam that have failed those checks, simply just not checking. We've had one that is very concerning, I thought, where they did check, acknowledged that they were indeed underage, and chose to sell it anyhow.
Oh.
Yes, that's a very big issue. And others where it was just honest mistakes where people were just moving too fast, not paying attention. Either way, the end result being that they sold liquor or alcohol containing beverages to underage individuals. The reason we do that is not to get people in trouble, but to kind of keep everyone in compliance and understand that, hey, you know, if you're selling this or doing this mistake, if you will, on a regular basis, you know, what's to stop you from this continuing? What's to stopping that customers know this? What's to stop them from continually going to this business and continually supplying to people who should not be possessing these items legally? So, yeah, so we did some checks, and like the chief said, there's you know, some recommendations that After this stuff happens, we cite the cashiers directly, holding them responsible for furnishing that stuff. And then I write my report. Yep,
And then what I do is when I get the report from Sergeant Johnson here, I take those reports and we turn them over to the deputy chief. He reviews them first. He makes a recommendation. I look them over, I review them, and then make a determination on assessing points based on the demerit point system. And then we set up a meeting with the attorney, and that meeting happened last Friday with the businesses to discuss what happened. And that's how we kind of discussed the situation, to see if they have any questions, any concerns, those type of things. We kind of look at what have they done to correct this problem, what things are they going to change in the future, and then we talk about maybe we can give them some advice. We talk about what type of advice we're going to give them, what ideas, what thoughts, and we kind of listen to what they have to say. So when I go to the administrative committee, who has the ultimate authority on the licenses, I don't. It's up to the administrative committee to make that decision. I just assess points, and if they get too many points, then I recommend to the committee what to do. And then it's ultimately still their decision. So I will report this to the committee, but my answer to them is it's your decision. It's what you want to do. They could do anything. They could ask the business to come in. They want to discuss it. They could suspend. They could revoke. I'm not recommending them at this point for these businesses. I know one of the businesses did it twice, one of them. But every one of the businesses that we talked to had taken active action on each one of them. Some have given employees suspensions. One of them fired both employees on the one that was twice, and then made them take additional classes. They have additional scanning procedures going on. They're taking a lot of additional action. So that determines what recommendation I'm going to make to the administrative committee. And this Monday night, it is on the agenda to discuss those violations, to talk about the meetings we had with one of the new city attorneys and what action they have taken. And at this point, we're not going to make any recommendation of any suspension, but it's still up to the committee to decide how they want to proceed with it from here. But at this point, I think these were all legitimate businesses that made mistakes. Most of them all were sorry for their mistakes, told us what action they've taken to prevent this. So I feel at this point we're good, and we also warned them all that we're coming back. We'll be back again. When the sergeant did these compliance checks, our goal is not to be sneaky or hide anything.
No.
This 16-year-old, one of the complainants said, well, they looked like they were 12. So, I know the sergeant's come to me before and said, hey, should we get somebody closer to 21? My answer is no. It's going to be an obvious. But I think with most of these, the goal was always to say, check the license or get an ID, always get an ID. But the problem we're seeing now is what they do with that ID once they get it. And that seemed to be a kind of overall concern, was what they're doing once they get this. Some were bypassing the system, some weren't scanning it properly, that type of thing. So they were asking for the ID, but what they did after they asked for the ID seemed to be
So how many businesses are we talking about that were in violation? Do you have that number handy?
Believe there were 10 instances, 9 businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you went to 10 businesses.
No, we went to many more than 10. We went to every liquor holding establishment besides the taverns.
Okay.
Essentially. So if it was a bar, we didn't do that, because of the age of our people. But we checked the liquor licensing convenience stores and grocery stores.
Okay. And you wound up having 10 violations?
That's correct.
Just in the city of Beaver Dam.
Correct.
None of them rose to the level that would trigger a suspension or a revocation?
That's up to the committee, but
Yep.
Based on my recommendation, no, and based on my meeting with the attorney with them, no, we do not feel that is necessary at this time, because most of them have only accumulated 150 points, so that wouldn't call for a suspension at this time. So even though there's 2 of them that had 2 violations, I understand they had them both, but the one that had 2, both of those businesses that actually took drastic measures, far and above what I thought they needed to do.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
definitely taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And
To
appropriately so.
to fire both employees and then to require all employees to now enter a date of birth, and then to say we're going to send a message to our employees, 0 tolerance. So that is pretty strong, and I think that should hopefully deal with the problem, and hopefully we won't see any issues or concerns.
Were the 2 violations just part of this round, or did some of those double violations go back to a
This is
previous?
this round.
Oh,
Yep,
this
yep.
round, okay.
We did 2 weekends, essentially.
Oh,
And,
okay.
yep, that's, yeah.
And so they blew it one weekend and then blew it the next weekend?
Correct.
Just 2 of them, so. Yep.
Okay. Was, I think the most recent issue we had in this city of Beaver Dam, if I'm not mistaken, was a gas station on North Spring Street that was in repeated violation? Or no, maybe I'm thinking of.
No, you were correct. There was one. That person sold that business, and now there's a new person in control of that business.
Okay. Was that one of the violators?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. But I think the old violations probably would have been outside that 1 year rolling.
Yep.
And it
And
also-
with the change of ownership as well.
Correct, that's what I was
change
gonna
of
say.
ownership.
Yep.
There's nothing in the demerit points that has the licenses, the demerit points carry over to the next license holder.
Yeah, I mean, you've worked with some business owners who have been shockingly defiant of your requests and have basically said, I don't care. I'm just going to
There's
keep
only
sending
been a
it."
few. Most of them have been. Most of the businesses are very cooperative. Most of the business, and then that's our reason for having this meeting, to make sure that they don't have any questions or concerns as to how this compliance check was conducted, and made sure they didn't have any issues or concerns. And every single one of them, this side said they had no issues or concerns. Every one of them took ownership for it, and there was. So I feel we're moving on. We'll see what the committee does, but it's up to the committee.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like any of them have been assessed enough points. Oh, I'm sorry. Some of them that did doubles would have had enough to
Right,
potentially
right,
trigger it.
To
But-
trigger it.
But usually when you recommend points, we see a chronic pattern of behavior over the course of more than
Correct.
2 weeks.
Correct.
Okay. 920-885-4446 is that phone number if you've got a question for Beaver Dam Police Chief John Kreuziger or Beaver Dam Sergeant, soon to be Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson. So when your official promotion comes in, does that mean that you would not be overseeing the Citizens Police Academy anymore?
Well, that's one that I hope. That's one job responsibility that I really am hoping to keep. So,
You mean one of
I-
two
I-
next to this one, of course. though.
well, right, and if it comes down to supervising the person who's running it, then so be it. But yeah, I just got started with the Citizens Police Academy, so I hope to keep doing it. We'll see. The one thing that is nice about the Citizens Police Academy is that once all the planning is done, in those early stages of January and February, it kind of runs itself. I just have to make sure that I got my instructors in place. I pick out the citizens who are going to be involved in it, and we go from there. How's that, huh? Chief,
Yeah,
can I hold
sounds
on to
good
that?
to me.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
We're going to sit down with the sergeant here, and we'll talk about his many responsibilities. He knows that there's a few of them he's going to have to give
Yep.
up, and he understands there's a few. And I
pry 'em from my fingers.
Yeah, the Citizen Police Academy is really, really important to us. It really builds a lot of relationships in the community, and it serves well. So.
Yes.
You're just at the beginning of it, too. This is
Correct.
what, week 3 maybe coming up?
Week 4 is coming
Week
up.
4 is
Yep,
coming up.
exactly.
How's it been going so far?
So far, so good. Can't complain. I think people are actually enjoying it, and talking with the participants, they are asking good questions. They've got smiles on their faces. You can tell that they're learning things by the questions that they're asking and the comments that we're receiving. So it's all good. And
I know
it's,
one of
it's
the-
serving its purpose.
Yeah, one of the candidates came to me this a couple days ago, and when you had the drinking course, and said, "I just cannot believe at .08 this one guy was stumbling, and he says I could not believe at .08, but he saw someone else that was what 2.8 or something."
Oh no, not
Guilty-
2.8. No,
guilty
not
as
that.
charged
No,
for the-
no, yeah,
1.8,
thank you.
that
Yeah,
was
I was
it.
gonna say, I'm like, geez.
I would like to say I was 0.7, or 0.07, not 0.07.
Stumbling?
I was
0.07.
stumbling is a little
Yeah.
bit of a stretch.
We double checked. It went up to a .071.
7-1, right? In all fairness, that was it is nothing like getting ribbed by the cops for not being drunk enough.
No, but the point
No,
of that
it's-
was good for you to be at that stage because drunk driving is .08.
Right.
So
Right.
the class got to see where you were at .07, and then when they know what that .8, they got a line there they can know what's crossed for us because
Right.
.08 is we can't arrest for .08 at drunk driving. So it's good that they saw that, and then they saw somebody. I believe at what .18 you had something.
.18, yep. Who was
So that's
very,
really
very inebriated, right.
just to see the difference, and he couldn't this guy couldn't understand why the 07 guy was acting different than the guy that was 1.8, and they expected the guy at 1.8 to be twice as drunk or stumbling more than
Correct.
the guy at .07. So.
And we could do an entire show just on that.
Yeah.
I will say this though,
Driving.
they say, regardless of where the laws stand, buzz driving is drunk driving. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I guess that's kind
That's
of the point
the
is that
true
you may
mean,
not be
yeah.
.08 or higher. However, if you're feeling the effects of the alcohol, your driving is somewhat impaired. To what degree depends on who you are. So, it's always an excellent idea to have a designated driver, call for a cab, walk home if you can safely. Just figure it out, but don't get behind the wheel and get someone hurt, including yourself.
Well, it was really tricky to do some of the things that are part of the field sobriety test.
Sure.
Some of them were easy.
Right.
I think I had to do D through M or something like that, and as far as the alphabet, and
Yep.
say numbers from this point to that point. That was all very easy.
If I recall, you did those perfectly.
Perfectly.
So,
yeah.
but
I do it for a living sometimes.
Right. But the physical part is, if I recall correctly,
Yeah.
like the walk and turn. And here's the thing. Here's what I recommend, and a lot of our listeners may not, as we segue into this, we put Craig through the standardized field sobriety
Yeah.
test. He was one of our volunteers for science. I would like
For
to put
science, I had 3
asterisks on there, yep.
Heineken beers and 2 old fashions.
Correct.
Which I feel where you made one of the old fashions, I feel it was a little watered down.
Well, see, I was introducing you into the world of old fashions.
Uh-huh.
We can get into all that. But anyways, yeah, and in general, we want to make sure that you're at the level, that
Sure.
not too much. But anyway, so
Yeah.
where was I going with this?
So stumbling.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, the walk and turn.
The walk and turn.
What I would like to do at some point is have you do these without having any alcohol in your system, and then you can tell
Well,
me
we can't
how-
do that today.
Well,
No, I'm kidding.
we got
Side by side.
But we do have the video.
right. We don't
I
have
would
to
be
do it
willing
now,
to
but-
do it. I would be willing to do it right now because I would like to see how I would do compared to the other night. This would have been Monday
Well,
night.
see, and that's the difference because you said they were difficult, but that's the first time you've ever done them.
Yeah,
right?
so but you made me sit there on one foot, or who was the officer?
It was Officer Matt Edwards.
Officer Matt Edwards made me sit there.
Yep.
He said, "Okay, now stand on one foot, put your other
Yep.
foot out above you," and then he said, "Okay, now I'm going to explain the instructions." And those instructions took about 10 minutes. It felt like.
So and to be fair, you were on both feet. I remember that. I was there. You were on
were
both
there.
feet. But
Oh, was I on both feet during
you
the
were on both feet,
instructions?
yeah.
Was
He
was 1-8 not on both feet during the instructions?
So you're thinking of the beginning of the walk and turn.
Yeah.
Where we have you stand on the line with both
See
feet
what
and the
alcohol
heels
does? It
toe
confuses
touching.
you.
Confuses
Yep,
you,
yep,
and makes
and-
you a little obnoxious too. Apparently, based on my behavior,
You
just
know
a
what?
little.
I get the
I
same
was told
complaints. I get the same complaints as well. So, anyways, but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where part of that test is while you listen to the instructions, you have to remember you're thinking about standing on that line and maintaining your balance while listening to instructions.
It's hard.
The two things at once that is part of that test. Can you read the speed limit sign, look down at your speedometer, and look for obstructions in the road? And adjust the radio, and you know what I mean? All those things, all those distractions in your car while you're inebriated, and that's part of it. It's the psychomotor response of how your body works and how it handles information, and are you able to stop in time? Are you able to adjust and safely operate that motor vehicle when something bad happens on the road? So, I mean, that's the whole point of the test.
Okay, and so for those of you listening either on the radio, AM 1430 WBEV, if you're listening at dailydodge.com, you can go into the Daily Dodge TV tab and watch today's program. Are we going to do this? Or do you
wanna
want to
do
do
it? Which
Ninja?
one
Is
do you
this
wanna
something
do?
we can do? Well,
Which
put
one
me
do
through.
you-
Well, let's do the whole
All
thing.
right,
We
okay,
got time.
okay, let's do it real quick.
All right, I've got to. I do have now. I'll have a microphone. I've got a wireless microphone here. Is that going to throw me off in any way?
Well, you're gonna need both hands.
Okay. All right.
I'll hold the microphone.
You'll-
How's that
you hold
sound?
the microphone.
All right, I'll hold the microphone. Okay. So we're gonna do the
You can
walk and
talk
turn.
into the microphone.
All right, so we're gonna do the walk and turn test. I want you to imagine a straight line just going between where you're standing and that stool right there. Okay. Hopefully we have enough room. Normally got a little bit more room when we do this. Okay. So what I want you to do is go ahead and put your left foot on that line right now. Okay, just on the imaginary line.
Oh,
Just so you imagine a straight line between.
this line.
Yep, that whatever line you want, but the imaginary line between here and there. Put your left foot on there, right?
Yeah.
Right now. Put your right foot with your heel and toe touching, just like that. Okay, and keep your arms down by your side.
This
All
is
right.
hard.
It is a little bit. All right, so you can see me. I'm doing it too, right? So, anyways, what I want you to do, that's the starting position for this test. Stay right there and listen to the rest of the instructions until I tell you to move. Okay? All right.
That takes a while.
All right. What I want you to do is take a series of 9 heel-to-toe steps on the line. Okay, when I say go. All right. I should move the stool. Okay, so just like this. 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth, all the way to 9. When you get to your 9th step, keep your front foot on the line and take a series of small steps around your front foot, keeping your front foot planted, and then take 9 heel-to-toe steps back, just like this. 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth, all the way to 9. I did 3 for demonstration purposes. I want you to do 9. While you do this, watch your feet, keep your hands down by your side, count your steps out loud, and once you start, don't stop.
I don't recall doing any of the other things than just walking on the line.
Because you didn't. Yeah, you didn't. You totally missed it. So you may begin, sir, unless you have questions.
We would have cleaned up the studio better had we known the area outside of the table would have been. Okay, so here I go.
I'll hold it. I'll hold
You're
it.
holding. Oh, you're
Yeah,
letting
yeah.
me. All right, so 1. Oh my gosh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is where I'm supposed to do some sort of pivot
Yep.
with
Keep
my
your
front
foot
foot.
on the line and turn around. Keep making a series of small steps around your front foot.
That doesn't even make sense. Oh,
Keep
like
your front
this?
foot- Yep, pivot on your front foot.
So I just spin.
We're not allowed to use the language pivot because not everybody knows what that means.
You can't
So-
use the word pivot?
We don't use the word pivot.
That is shocking.
Yep.
So did I do a good pivot, even though
You
I'm
did-
not allowed
actually,
to use it?
You're good. Now
All
take
right.
9 heel-to-toe
Well,
steps
that's right,
back.
so that helps. Oh, 3, 4, 5,
Yep.
6, 7, 8, 9. I can't imagine
Okay.
that I passed it.
So you were darn close to passing. You did 2 things wrong. You lifted out your hand and kind of used it to balance one time. Okay, so
But I'm sober, so
So-
I should be allowed to do that.
but you're good. You're good.
Okay.
And you missed 1 heel to toe. You just missed it just a little bit. You kind of went like that.
Yeah.
So 2. And I would say right now, as a reasonable law enforcement officer, I would say that you're sober, just based on that test.
Okay.
So I mean,
Because
I
you
wanna
can
say
miss some.
you can miss 2. There's 8 clues that we look for.
Okay.
So with the 2, you're right at that failing mark.
I'm completely sober though.
Well-
This is really hard.
Right. It is. It's difficult. Plus, we've got the camera because we're watching and stuff like
Sure,
that.
yeah.
And there's totality of the circumstances. There's more tests that should add up. I mean, just
We don't
because you
leave it
got
off just that test,
Right,
'cause
yeah.
Certain people can't walk on the line, certain people have a little balance issue.
Sure.
That they, as we get older, that
Sure.
things happen,
Thanks,
and
Chief. Yeah.
so we have all, that's why we have a combination of tests, so we're able to tell. I always like the alphabet and the counting test,
Yeah.
because those are always the kind of tests I enjoyed.
What about the chief not putting the microphone up to
Yeah.
while he's talking? Is that a test? So now how come we're not doing the? And I'll talk into it a little bit because we trained for this in college. The going back and putting your fingers on your nose thing.
So that's a different one. That's not part of our standardized field sobriety test.
This is by
Yeah.
NHTSA. You ever heard of NHTSA?
No, it's
National Highway Traffic Safety.
Oh, okay.
They have
That's an
certain,
extra one.
yes, they have certain criteria, they have certain ways that you have to do these tests because they've been done nationally to prove certain science behind these tests. So that's why we don't go outside the realm of what's approved by NHTSA.
Okay, so that wasn't approved by NHTSA then to do the back.
Right.
Okay.
At least it isn't now. It was probably a recommended test back in the day. Stand there and you touch your nose left and right. They do those extra tests, especially when they're doing an RCS investigation, a restricted controlled substance. That's what RCS stands for. So you will see them do that test when drug recognition expert comes on scene or something like that. If someone's under the influence of marijuana, methamphetamines, heroin, those sorts of things, that's when you'll see different clues show up when you're doing those tests. Yeah.
Okay. The balance thing is weird though. I mean, it's because you get.
It does put you in an awkward position. There's no doubt. As I stand here, I feel myself.
Or feel more comfortable doing this test rather than the walking.
And that was
Would you
another
like to do the
weird
one
one.
like Stan?
Everybody's different.
We got some time on the clock, so maybe we should demonstrate that one as well.
Put me on the spot here. Okay, sir. So what I'd like you to do is stand with your feet together. Actually, take a couple steps away from the table there. Just one. There you go. All right. All right. Yep. Stand with your feet together like that, heels and toes touching just like that. Keep your arms down by your sides just like that, okay? When I tell you to not before, I want you to choose either foot, left or right, doesn't matter. I want you to move it approximately 6 inches off the ground, keeping your arms down by your side. I want you to watch your raised foot and count out loud like this: 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, so on and so forth until I say stop. While you do this, watch your raised foot. Keep your arms down by your side. If you put your foot down, pick it up and keep on going.
All right.
And yep.
So I'm doing that now.
Yep.
All right.
All right. And now I don't have my timer with me, but we go for 30 seconds. Okay. Yep. So it's 30 seconds, whether you're counting. A little trick, even if you get to 30, it's only 30 seconds. So you may begin, sir.
All right. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, 1011, 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015, 1016, 1017, 1018, 1019, 2020, 1021, 1022, 1023, 1024, 1025, 1026, 1027, 1028, 1029.
And that's just about 30 seconds. So
That was a lot easier sober. I will say
Right,
that.
For you, that test was easier, but the other one was more difficult.
Yeah.
I look at that test and you had no issues, there seemed to be no,
Yeah.
really.
Really? Because I seem shaky.
A little
Shaky's
bit.
okay.
We're all a little bit shaky when we.
I did. Did I do that? I put my arms out last time, apparently on Monday, with my .71, 071.
So now what we're looking for is 4 things in that test. We're looking for if you sway while you're keeping your balance.
I swayed.
If you move, well, not so much, okay? If you sway and you remove your arms from your sides, okay? If you start hopping, or if you put your foot down. So, I mean, those are, if you get 2 out of those 4 things, that would be a fail for the test, but you didn't exhibit any of those things.
I got 0.
Swaying was very minimal.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
You did fine on that test. You did a real good job. You were much better at that test than the walk and dirt.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems weird and complicated. And
Every test is different for everybody, and we have different abilities, and so it depends. Your balance is different than mine.
so you make a decision based on the totality of the evidence that is presented.
All the tests. But before we even do that, which is one of the people from the police academy told me they didn't know, we have to have probable cause to even do the test. We can't start you doing fields of tests without any probable cause. We can't just say, hey, Craig, we want you to do some tests. We got to have probable cause to believe that you're under the influence to even start these tests.
So that means I've got to be swerving.
Sure. So driving behavior is part of that. However, if there's no driving behavior, we pull you over for a burnt out headlight. Yeah, we'll sit back down.
So you'll pull me over for a
Right, so
burnt out
let's say I
headlight, but
pull you
that's not
over for a
probable
burnt out
cause.
headlight. No, it's not even reasonable suspicion. So what we would do is if we roll the window down and we're talking with you and we smell the presence of alcohol coming from the vehicle,
Which is usually pretty prominent.
that's usually a big red flag right there. We would see that your eyes are either bloodshot or glassy. We would see slurred speech when you talk with us. We would probably ask you to step out of the vehicle just to talk with us, because I want to know, is that alcohol smell coming from the vehicle, or is that coming from you and your breath? Especially if you have a group of people. I mean, there's times where we do traffic stops after bar time, and the designated driver is behind the wheel. And I'll just say, okay, you got a bunch of people drinking in there. Can you just step out and talk with me? I just want to talk with
Sure.
you for a little bit. And as we continue to talk, we don't see those clues, we don't see those red flags, and we thank them for being the designated driver. Fix your headlight and have a good morning. You know, things like that. But those types of clues, the signs of intoxication, the smell, the eyes, the speech, those are 3 big things that are really, really red flags that builds that reasonable suspicion to say, hey, you want to do some standardized field
Along
sobriety
with
tests
some other
with
things
us?
that we see that you
Yeah.
do in the car, such as, you can't get your wallet out, or you give me your credit card instead of your driver's license.
That
you don't
happens
realize.
all the time.
There's
People
all
hand you a credit
all
card.
those in and itself is not probable cause, but you build all your cases off all those little things that you see.
All right. So you'll be able to see the video from this past Monday's Citizens Police Academy when I
All
blew
right.
a .071
I have to watch
and
that.
and Jamie blew a .18. .18. That'll be Monday. Ninja, you're rolling that out on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be a video. You'll be able to hear the news story here on Monday as well. And then Ninja's going to be following a number of different classes throughout the course of the next 12 weeks or so.
Absolutely.
I want to say, I guess, Mike, can I drink as much during the Taser week? Would that be? Will you still be supplying the alcohol for that one as well?
We're done with alcohol for a whole year. Sorry,
gosh,
Craig.
all
Sorry.
Tased in another academy and learned your lesson.
I know Rick Armin got tased in the other academy.
Okay,
but
that
we
was who got
we do have some volunteers here. Thomas is willing to be tased. So if should we bring some
Alrighty then.
volunteers? Or do you have to be a member of the Citizens Police Academy to be
You do
tased?
not. No.
All right,
We gotta
Ninja.
sign the waiver.
Insurance
first.
waiver.
Just got to sign the insurance waiver. Thomas is young. He'll be able to handle it. So
That's
be,
what we like, the young ones. Yeah.
be on the lookout for that, and we'll be looking forward to our continued partnership here. And we do congratulate you again, Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson, on your promotion. It looks like I'm going to say you made the right decision, Chief.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
That's Beaver
I know
Dam.
I did.
That's Beaver Dam Police Chief John Kreuziger. I want to thank him for joining us along with Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson. That's going to do it for today's community comment. Look at that, down to the
Legally
second.